hello, everybody. Welcome back to another... Uh-oh. Why can't I hear myself? Test one. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. Am I coming through a little low? I look a little low. Oh, there I am. Ah, yes. Perfect. There we go. I had some hardware changes. And, we gotta do the old process of elimination. Time that start perfectly with the music. Okay. Sleep, what's that? I have no idea. Super low? I should be better now. I was wondering why I couldn't hear myself. I was just low on the mixer. Oh, and I'm gone again. What the hell? Oh, of course. I do believe I have a replacement piece for this. Sorry. Tech issues abound. Tech issues abound today. That's super fun, super cool. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Oh, that is better. I'm sure I'm fine on the output.
Soon may the cavemen come with birds and mice and some tasty nose. One day when the critters come, we'll eat till our bellies are full.
I'm sure I'm good on the output, but I like the monitor. I like to hear what I'm saying. Well, that bit is done skis. I have I'm sure there is a trip to Guitar Center in my near future. That'll be cool. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Tucker Tuesday. We are late because of different tech issues. Whatever's going on with my computer and the non-stop eating of my my GPU RAM and my CPU memory by random Windows processes was so bad, I had to unplug and replug in my computer, and then I had to restart it again. So I think they're really pushing for the Windows 11 update, but it's weird because I have none of these issues on my home computer, and it is significantly older too. So I'm not sure what what is on that one. So it's interesting. That's Alan for 20 to say sin. Alan, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Zach says could be. Well, that's really weird though, because I don't have the issue on my home computer. Like, I've noticed that whatever's going on with this, like here, I'll show you. I can't take a window, or I can't take a Chrome tab and play it full screen without the video crashing. Let me see if I can go back to watch. You'll see it'll start buffering here in a second. It just won't play. So I don't know what the deal is. Mine's starting shenanigans too. I don't know what is on it, man. I don't know what or why, how, or what the deal is, but it is very irritating. And it's this computer compared to my home computer is a goddamn monster. This thing's got a 30... Oh, see? There it goes. Just crashes. So I have no idea what is on that. So I think I'm gonna have to take a day, sit down, and literally go through everything. I might have to upgrade to Windows 11. It's very, very aggravating. But my output sound is good, which means my new mixer is working, which is great. But hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely Tuesday out there today. I apologize for the polyness of tonight's show starting. Check event viewer. Should be able to show you the error. At least it did for me. With File Explorer crashing. Hold on. Event EVE. Oh, event viewer. App. Windows logs, I guess. Application. I'm not sure where to look. I've never used Event Viewer. I'll keep that up and take a look later. 111. I have to dub the PC killer. God, I fucking hope not. I'm still paying this goddamn computer off. It better not kill it. I would be quite the unhappy. Shadowclaw Zach, Zobels, Patio Furniture, Joshua, Shiru, Baba Yaga, Zombie Teddy, Market Zero. What up, man? Congrats on your win Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Miss my computer. So I can't. Beetlejuice, hello. Noah, Advocates. Damn, everybody's out here. Everybody out here today at factory reset back to 10. I really hope I don't have to do that. It's possible, but I really hope I don't have to. Mama Kimmin said, even I'm here. Jen said, what up? I'm going to be optimistic about this year. You know what, man? So am I. I think I'm going to be optimistic as well, because the alternative is being blackpilled. And after the year I had in 23, it's not a stretch to say 2023 was the worst year for me so far. And that started very early in the year. And I spent the rest of the year pretty black-pilled, pretty down in the dumps. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to look out to 2024 with a more optimistic point of view. I'm going to try to look at everything through a different lens. Glass half full kind of thing. We'll see how long that lasts and how realistic that is. But it'd still be a nice change of pace. Another thing in 2024 that I want to do more is I want to put more main channel, this channel videos up. That would be I think that'd be a fun thing to try to do, get some more videos up and moving here, because ultimately I would like to grow the way I used to. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I loved growing a channel. It was the most fun I've had in I don't know how long, so I'm going to try to do it again. I am going to make 2024 my bitch. Hopefully not go broke doing it, because I'm going to need to get some stuff, upgrade some stuff, get some software, etc., etc. But I'm going to... I have a lot of stuff that I want to do. I've already mapped out, I think, my next 2 Speakeasy videos. I have the next creepypasta mapped out. I have a lot of stuff I want to do. So I'm gonna just fucking do it, man. And I think that's gonna be the move. Exactly. That's me in 2024. That's me in 2024. You guys don't even know. Ravon, here's some kish. Thank you, Ravon. I appreciate the kish. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. But before we get into too much, I would appreciate you guys taking a look down below at the donation key. Everything down below. I hate to do it, man, but these are gonna actually, you know what? No. Those will just get lowered. You'll notice that there's some donations that have a little Tilda Swinton next to them. A little squiggle. Just a little tilde. You'll notice that. Those are donations that if they get hit immediately, they get voted on. But yeah or but no in the chat. And if it's a but no, they're gone. Because at the end of December, I took out about a score, if not more, donations. But there are a lot more that I'm super not sure about that get hit with very, a very infrequent regularity. So those are the ones that have a little Tilda Swinton next to them. And they might get taken out as well. So if you are thinking about donating, consider hitting up one of the ones with the Tilda Swinton next to it so we can vote on it immediately. And this is going to be very sudden, but I decided it's Sunday, and it is what it is. If they're not hit by the end of whatever shows we do tomorrow, I'm just going to delete them because that just proves my point that they're not interesting to anybody. Nobody likes them and that they don't need to be kept around. So if you are thinking about donating, little tilde next to them, we vote on them. If we yeah, they stay. If we no, they're gone. They're just gone. So just think about that, guys, as we go forward. But please smash that like button. Please share it out on your social media. Actually, you know what? I'm going to annotate that in the description of the video for anybody who may be just coming in. I'm going to start the video annotated, then I'll be right back.
Sure, you've been following your equity investments recently. The jumpier you likely are. A lot of Americans have concluded that the Wall Street game may be rigged. The whole thing is kind of a scam, but there's still a huge amount of money tied up in it, not just in individual investing, of course, but in pension funds. The whole world is tied up in the American stock market. So how exactly do you succeed in it as an individual? We thought the man to ask would be the man who's seen both sides of this business, legitimate and less than.
All right, there we go. I put it in the description right under the link. Anything with a tilde or a squiggle next to it is an instant vote to delete that donation. And we're not doing, oh, well, we deleted it here, but it's still on the Sin and Sash channel. No. If we vote no, it's begone and not becoming back. And that's just by the end of the day tomorrow. I know it's super sudden, and I know we didn't really have too much hoopla about it, but that's it. It's either here or it's gone.
Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, with a new book, The Wolf of Investing, and he joins us to explain how you can make a fortune on Wall Street.
Well,
Can you make a fortune on Wall Street?
You can, but it takes time. You know, I think it's.
Yeah, you got to put in the work. I know most people don't want to put in the work on stuff. They just want to get instant gratification and have their money now without having to wait or put in effort, but that's not how anything fucking works. Happy New Year to you, man.
I think, listen, the mistake that people make is that the average person is that when you don't have that much money to start, let's just choose a number. Let's say just $10,000, right? It's a random number, right? You say
Super sudden. It is a little super sudden, but that it is the way it is, man. I am cleaning house. Figuratively and literally cleaning house. Digitally, figuratively, and literally cleaning fucking house.
to yourself, if I'm going to really get anywhere as an investor, I need to make a big hit. Like to turn that into like $1 million, I've got to find the next Apple computer, the next crazy crypto token,
right?
Whatever, some wildly successful investment, right? Which leads you to engage in, wild speculation, short-term trading, trying to time the market. And the truth is the opposite. You don't need to start with a lot of money to end up with a lot of money by doing the exact opposite, which is holding for the long term and all the highest quality stocks and relying on long-term compounding and reinvesting dividends and making small contributions along the way. But forgetting, like you said, the noise and people are worried about their equities. This is the problem, because as soon as you start buying into that, like, you know what, I think the market might be going down, or maybe it's going to go up next year, and you start to talk.
I don't understand.
The first word of the summer.
I don't even have the stream up. I believe that is a vote, guys. Kuro Soldier, Happy New Year. I'm voting for this because it unnerves Drunkle and it's Sharu's favorite. All right, guys. Oh, wrong thing.
Oh, fuck my life. Rabbit,
God damn it. I opened up a YouTube video and
she said she can
I don't even have that video up. Why is it playing? Jesus Christ. I need a Bia or Bano. But keep. Bia to keep, Bano to delete. Let's see a chat. Yeah, but no. Actually, no. We're gonna put it to a poll. Start poll. Keep the wormy. Yes, no. All right, chat. You have a poll.
Time that by buying and selling, you create taxable events. And also, human beings, by our nature, we're kind of crappy stock pickers. And when you try to pick individual stocks, you tend to lose most of the time.
Okay, so here's what
Honestly, I'm leaning towards Bonneau personally.
I'm going to give you my investment strategy,
Okay.
and I'm going to be as honest as I can be,
Sure.
and you assess it based on your expertise and tell me if
Let's
I'm
hear it.
right or wrong. Okay, so I'll get down to my rec room, big screen TV, with my dab pen and my laptop, and I'll turn on Jim Cramer on CNBC. And when he tells me to buy, I buy, and if he says sell, I sell.
Yeah. You get
You follow, I think you'll have more luck doing whatever the opposite of what Jim Cramer tells you to do. If I had money out in the market and doing that kind of shit, the last thing I would do is listen to what the TV told me to do with it. Because they're the ones who stand to get rich off of it. Do you have something better than the wormy? Maybe I will in the future, but honestly, I think the wormy gimmick is played out. It's just not as funny anymore. That's just kind of where I sit with it.
financially whipsawed. So I think I called...
Is that working for me?
No, it's not going to work. So I kind of buried Cramer in the book. I guess I'm not going on CNBC anytime soon for any interviews.
Why would you bury Jim Cramer? I mean, this is a guy with an
Darren Root, it is yes to keep, no to delete.
uninterrupted string of correct calls. By
J.P. Morgan of this generation, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX.
Do you see they dropped a whole bunch of fucking charges on that douchebag too? They dropped a whole bunch of shit. They're going to let him go.
Listen, the best thing was an interrupted string of terrible calls. But listen, he's had a lot of good calls because he's on both sides of the market. He tells you to buy one thing on Monday and sell it on Wednesday and back, and vice versa. This guy literally is telling you. They actually did a study on this where they put up his recommendations of what he said on Monday and then on Friday. The exact opposite. Like one day he's saying the market's going up, next day it's going down. Buy this, go from this sector to that sector. That's a historically, mathematically, scientifically.
All right, the poll is 59 to keep, 41 to delete. Guys, get your vote in.
Proven to be the worst possible way to invest your money. They've gone back 100 years, the academic studies, and the analysts can't pick the right stocks. The hedge fund managers and the mutual fund managers can't beat the S&P 500, which is the overall broader market. And there's a reason for that, because all the information is out there. So unless you have inside information, which is illegal, right? And certainly the average person is not going to have that.
Well, that's the thing is, okay, I have a conspiracy theory, and you guys let me know what you think on this one, because I'm not sure if I've fully fleshed this one out. But my thought process is that the stock market, by and large, for people who, trade and do all that kind of shit with the stock market, it is really just a way for the upper 1% to steal money because they do have the inside information and we don't.
Or some other way to beat the market, whether it's high frequency trade with computers that are lightning fast. So some of the big firms, they'll time the market like a millionth of a second better than an average investor. They get an edge. But for everyone else, you can't beat the market. It doesn't work, especially when you deduct all the fees, the commissions, and also the taxes from short-term
Yeah, exactly, like the Pelosi's and all those cats.
trading. So let's say a hedge fund returns 15% one year. Say, well, that's pretty good, right? But after they take their 2% management fee, 20% performance bonus, right? Suddenly, it's not even beating the S&P 500, and that's in a good year. Most of the time, they don't even beat it without their fees.
So why would anyone hand money to a hedge fund?
All right, looks like it is 60-40 on the poll to keep the wormy, and there it shall be.
So Warren Buffett asked this exact question back in 2007, made a big announcement, bet $1 million that I don't care whatever hedge fund you are.
Looks like the next one up on the chopping block is 1575.
You can't beat the S&P 500 over 10 years. And at first, no one took the bet. Eventually, someone did with what's called a fund of funds. It was 100 different funds, right? And after year 7, they threw in the towel. They couldn't even come close to the S&P. And that was without all their fees. And just so you know, the fees they take, so it's 20% typically is a performance bonus, right?
Right.
If the fund makes money.
Off the upside.
On the upside. But if the fund loses money the following year, they don't get any of the losses. So it's heads they win, tail as you lose, right? The mutual fund industry is equally bad. So they're engaging in, basically asset gathering, because what they do is they try to gather as many assets as possible, money, right? Because they get their management fees. But the returns on the average mutual fund are dismal. They don't keep up with the S&P 500, which is America's 500 biggest, baddest, most profitable companies. So, and those 500 companies change. So the S&P this year is not the same as it was last year. So what happens when you buy that index as the centerpiece of your investments, right, and just hold it, you're always having the 500.
Ooh, this mic is super sensitive. How?
Top high-performing companies in
It's the same mic, but what? I gotta figure it
your
out.
portfolio is very tax efficient. Now, it's boring, but it compounds at about 11% a year. And guess what? If you invest $10,000, right, and just compounds at 11% a year, and you put a little extra money in whenever you can each month or each quarter, right, over 30 years, 40 years, it turns into millions of dollars.
But I'm still caught up on the hedge fund idea. So Steve Cohen.
Okay, I got it. Is this my audio that's making it sound tinny, or is it his? Well, I just gotta put something on. Okay, that's Tucker's audio. Okay, I just needed to make sure. Sorry.
Ray Dalio.
Right.
All these guys are billionaires.
Right. So you have
World's biggest art collection. So how did they get so rich if it doesn't work?
Well, for a time, it was like everyone thought, oh my God, they're so great, the hedge fund. So for many in the 90s and 2000s, like the word was really like this mystique that you had these really high-performing hedge funds, and there were a few. There were a few people that actually can beat the market. Ray Dalio is one who's done it consistently. He's not taking your money. The average, when they're really that good.
Well, that's the crux of it. That's what it all comes down to. In order to make money off the stock market, you are taking somebody else's money, by and large. So how do you beat the market without also putting a target on your back? You could go low and slow. It could be, a little bit over time, but the people like Pelosi, they know what the fuck they're doing.
They don't take an average investor's money. They train their own money in a few very, very large institutions. So those funds are not open to the average investor. But then all the other hedge funds, which kind of suck, right? They're bathing in the afterglow of the aura of the hedge fund manager we see like on Billions, right? So you're this like, mystical hedge fund manager. Well, guess what? Most of these guys suck, all right? They're not beating the S&P. They're just not. It's historically proven. They don't beat the S&P.
I saw something today about Pelosi ending up on the cover of Time as the Trader of the Year for 2021. It's not insane how they can be so open about it because they'll be called out. It's not insane that they can get away with it. What's insane is that people who call them out get censored for calling them out. That's what bothers me.
And they take these massive fees when they do win one year, and they always get that 2% management fee. So watch what happens. Let's say you're managing $1 billion. So before you even start, it's $20 million a year you're getting just before the fund even starts, plus 20% of all the profits. And when you take those, and how about this? I'll go one step further. And also, when you have a hedge fund, you have to show activity. Because unless you can't just buy the S&P and hold it, because someone will say, well, why would I give you my money? You're not doing anything. So they almost have to show activity to justify their existence, which makes them engage in short-term trading. And human beings are just terrible market timers. And this is just it's proven over 100+ years of studies that you cannot trade in and out of the stock market, buying, selling, buying this sector one day. So it's just a trap. The way I look at it is this. So Wall Street creates massive value. They do. Wall Street's necessary. You can hate Wall Street, despise them for what things they do.
Are they necessary? Like, if we just right now plucked Wall Street out of existence, what would be the outcome? This is a genuine question. I am not that well versed in economics, so what would be the outcome genuinely if we just plucked Wall Street out? Sin is racist, spelled wrong on the building donation for censorship. Yeah.
Wrong, but Wall Street is necessary. They create massive value for the economy.
I gotta be very careful with how I spell stuff in the descriptions because I don't ever know what's going to get hit by the algorithm, so I always just want to play it safe. But then again, that's also the reason why so many donations are on the chopping block right now. And I'm really leaning towards getting rid of them because I want to bring new, fresh, fun stuff in. So and that's kind of where I'm at with it. There's a lot of them that I want to like put down to a lower number. So I think the most expensive donation on the chopping block is the $55 one. So I don't know. It's up to you guys. And but the main point of it is a lot of them are on there because they don't get hit super often. So why keep something around that doesn't get hit when we could put something new, interesting, and fun in there?
They take companies public, right? They finance the growth of America. It's needed. They maintain the debt markets, the credit markets. That's the useful side of Wall Street, where they create math.
Any of your shirts still available? Yeah. If you go, if you click the Streamlabs link down below, like when you go to donate, there'll be a little thing in the top right corner, like a little drop-down menu. You click on merch and all the shirts are there.
It's a value. Then there's the not so useful, the dark side of Wall Street, where they create bubble after bubble after bubble, where they have instruments of financial mass destruction they create for just gambling purposes, where they churn you, they have excess commissions and fees, and rob the public blind. So the question, right, in the book,
okay, JK, thank you.
was, how does the average person get the maximum exposure to the good side of Wall Street, which is the great companies they take public and finance that become huge multinationals? So how do you maximize that, but avoid the corruption? Well, the churning and the burning and the financial bubbles and so forth, try to and play into what I call the Wall Street theme machine complex, which is this advertising monolith where basically they convince you, like people like Kramer, to play the sucker's game. Where they're actively, if you go on CNBC, they're all day long trying to convince people to play the short-term trading game, which is indeed a sucker's game. So you go into a casino, right? We spoke about Kerry Packer, right? Gambling, right? So they own casinos, the Packer family, right? So in a casino, you go in there knowing that the odds are against you by what, 5%, depending on what game you play. So the odds are against you and the house will win over time, right? That's a legit casino. The odds are against you. But what if you go into a corrupt casino where they have loaded dice and are dealing from the bottom of the deck? That's Wall Street. So now not only are the odds against you because it's hard to pick winning stocks, but there's people who have information that's more timely than you. They're trading ahead of you. They are charging excess fees, and also you have all these publications and news, whether it's CNBC, Bloomberg isn't as bad, right? Because they cater mostly to professionals, but still trying to convince people that you could somehow figure out when you should buy oil and then sell your Meta, and then somehow go into a steel stock and then go into overseas. It's insane. It doesn't work, and people get financially whipsawed. And I saw it myself, my own family member. Very successful guy. I start my book off telling his story.
About your brother-in-law.
Yeah, my brother-in-law. He's a very smart guy, and I watched his portfolio get decimated through short-term trading and using margin, all the things that they...
Was he doing it himself?
He was trying to do it himself, and following tips he heard on TV or online, and it's so simple.
And what happened to him?
Well, thankfully he's successful. He lost a lot of money, and then he learned his lesson, and I showed him what to do the right way, and now he's building a proper portfolio for the long term. So I think the distinction is this.
I get what he's saying, but as a poor guy, it's hard for me to feel bad.
Get rich in the stock market, but not overnight. It doesn't work. You can't do that. And if you try to get rich by engaging in short-term trading or picking like one stock, you're probably going to end up in the financial poorhouse. So the solution I put in this book, which is ironic where I came from, right? Because I committed fraud 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So as you said, I've seen both sides, right? So the solution in the book is really very simple to build a world-class portfolio and secure your future. Because I don't think you can rely on Social Security these days. It'll be enough to pay for your diapers when you're in a nursing home by the time you get it, right? So this is about, empowering yourself financially, and it's about doing less versus more, not hiring experts.
It seems like every time somebody comes out with their expert opinion, 9 times out of 10, it's garbage. And the other 1 time out of 10, it's not fully correct. So you can't really trust experts on anything anymore, honestly. When was the last time you heard, well, experts say blah, 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 and it was correct? Can you tell me? Because I sure as fuck don't know.
Less trading yourself.
Less trade. It's about investing as opposed to speculating. Now, there's nothing wrong with speculating. It's fun, right? And if you want to take 5% of your capital and speculate and buy and sell, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I encourage people to do that because it's good. You can have fun with that, and maybe you'll make some money. But that's not how you secure your retirement. If you want to secure a great retirement, you start off young as possible, right? And it's never too late, by the way. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can start with a little bit of money. You don't need a lot. But the key is making little, small, regular contributions and not worrying.
Just to an index fund? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the main one is an index.
Experts are good at leading you to losing your money to their friends.
Fund. You want to have an index fund, S&P, low-cost S&P 500 index fund, and you want to have it in certain types of accounts that are tax-deferred whenever possible and so forth, right? Then you also want to balance that out with you need to have some bonds in there, a small amount depending on your age, right? And on top of that, some cash for an emergency. And then if you want to speculate, you can have, let's say, 5% for speculation. But the key is this: don't hire an expert. Like, for example, we've been conditioned, and this is the trap, right? So you're a homeowner, right? So if your pipes in your house burst, you're probably going to do a lot better off calling a plumber to fix your pipes than trying to fix them yourself, right?
Right.
Right, fair enough, right? If you have an electric short, I suggest you call an electrician versus trying to go put on rubber gloves and not get electrocuted. You'll get a much better result with the expert in that too. If you're sick, let's say your appendix is about to burst, right? Don't do your own surgery, have your wife cut you open. Go to a doctor that's an expert at doing surgery. Let him do the surgery.
Fair.
Okay, but they don't give their opinion on financial and political matters as if their doctorate or electrician degree somehow gives them more knowledge of these certain things. That's the issue. Like, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson does. He goes around saying that his astrophysics, whatever, somehow makes him correct on his woke, stupid fucking opinions.
Fair enough, right? That's true for almost all things in life, except Wall Street. It's the one exception to the otherwise pretty much steadfast rule about seeking out experts to help you get the best result. On Wall Street, they don't get you a better result than doing it yourself. They get you a worse result because of all the fees, the commissions, the performance bonuses, and also they can't outguess the market. The market is too hard to beat. Now, again, there's a few people that can do it. They're not taking your money.
Okay, I want to focus on them for a second because undoubtedly they're the touts. They're the people who convince the rest of us that this works.
Right.
Because they're so rich. How did those people get rich?
So if you look, a guy like, for example, like a Ray Dalio, who's been he got in very early into the game, right? And he's an incredibly brilliant guy. He's a great stock picker. And
Hey, what up, Luna? How's it going, man?
whatever his proprietary method is, or a Warren Buffett, right? There's a few people out there, and this is one of the great studies was from an economist named Paul Samuelson, right, in the 70s.
I think I'm gonna have to come up with some new bigger donos too. I don't know what I want to do yet. I think I'm gonna have to come up with maybe a new stack or a new McKinley. I don't know. I think it's a refresh time.
And this is really what started the shift into index funds. He did a study that went back 100 years, all the way to the earliest days of record keeping, right? He studied every mutual fund out there since the 1920s, all the stock recommendations since 1890s, right? And he came to the conclusion, he goes, okay, maybe there were a few people who can outperform the S&P, but they remain remarkably well hidden. He couldn't find any.
Stop
Goodbye.
talking.
This is like,
That's pretty accurate too, by the way. Gamer Valine, haha, great. We know they don't guess accurately. Stocks just performed the inverse of all holiday indicators for the first day of 24. Yeah, that picture you sent me was awfully red. It was awfully red. It's wonderful. Bidenomics is working for me. Hooked on Biden. working for me.
He won a Nobel Prize, the guy, for this, right? So that was really the beginning. That was like the shot across the bow. Now, Wall Street did everything they could to suppress this. So the first guy to try this was Jack Bogle from Vanguard.
Yeah.
You know, Vanguard, right? So Vanguard's a place, like great place where you could buy the best index funds with virtually no expense. So I strongly recommend Vanguard, right? And there's a few others as well. But Jack Bogle was the first, right? But when he started Vanguard, Wall Street went out on the ultimate smear
Shiru, calm down, dude.
campaign for like a decade, suppressing everything about index funds, saying
Is bubblegum on the chopping block? No. The only ones on the chopping block are the ones with the little tilde next to them. It looks like the lowest one on the chopping block is 1575, then 1994, 23, 24, 25, 24, and so on and so forth.
it's the stupidest thing. Who wants to be average? Dreyfus, which is a huge mutual fund company, said no fees, no way. Like actually in the Wall Street Journal full page, it's like if you don't like that was marketed to the people who were the gatekeepers to investors. So
Yeah.
if they're not, because Vanguard doesn't pay fees, right? So if they won't pay you fees, don't put your clients in their funds. Instead, put them in our high commission funds. We'll pay you a lot of money. So for many, many years,
How is a regular guy supposed to compete with high frequency trading, trying to cause margin calls like the depression? I just think at this point we're not supposed to. Like the regular man at this point is not supposed to be involved in Wall Street. If we are, we're supposed to lose our money to Jim Cramer's buddies. What's up, Drunksley?
Vanguard languished and was suppressed, right? It finally got traction after the crash in '87. For the first time, all of a sudden, you know, the mirage evaporated when everyone lost a lot of money. And for the first time, Vanguard started to get a fair shake in the market. And then slowly but surely, they
Hey, Faustonia, how y'all doing? We not too bad. I could complain.
started to grow and grow. And then as the
I'm in a little bit of a mood tonight. I don't know.
internet came about and the high-speed connections and platforms for direct communications with customers, it suddenly became a mass exodus out of these, like, you know, sort of high expense mutual funds, right? Which I think that Bogle saved the public.
And there it goes again. Jesus Christ. Why does it keep crashing? I have the video up on a different browser, but every fucking like 20 seconds Chrome and everything Chromium just crashes. If an update doesn't work, I think I'm gonna need a new graphics card. If that does, well, I think it would be RAM first, then a graphics card.
Probably a few $100 billion by now in fees. Mutual funds were ripping people's eyeballs out forever. Now they still do crappy. Their performance is crappy compared to the S&P 500. But for years and years, they're just ripping the public's eyeballs. That was the most lucrative industry out there. And Wall Street just spent, you know, countless hundreds of millions on advertising campaigns and whatnot, right, to make people think this is the way to go. So your Merrill Lynch is bullish on, remember those commercials?
Yeah.
Bullish on America, right? All the, you know, and T. Rowe Price.
Invest in a 401k so it can be Bernie Madoff and so they can buy another island. So that's the only real, and I don't even have money to do this, but like the only super safe way to keep your money is a Roth IRA. 401ks can be taken away like that. Like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? What are millennials and Gen Xers?
Right to jail, right away. Right to jail, right away.
What are we supposed to do? Because we're paying into Social Security we're never going to see. We're never going to see shit from Social Security. We can't safely put our money in a 401k because not only do most places not 401k match, but they can just get taken away like that. You can keep your money overseas, but most people won't even talk to you if you show up with less than like $250,000. 401k invest in the S&P 500 worked pretty well for me. I don't know. Gamer Vleen, you can't day trade without a $25,000 investment account. Give me collapse. I need a payout. Roths can be lost in depression. What's a good whiskey option for starters? I'd say figure out what you're looking for. First, like, do you want more of a sweet? Do you want more of a smoky? Do you want a spicier rye? That kind of thing. Start with Angel's Envy. See what you like from there. Maybe kind of move around.
I don't want to point the thing at any one of them. Right?
Sweet. Okay, start with Angel's Envy. Try maybe some Crown Royal.
Right? But now
But stay cheap. You don't want to... Angel's Envy is an expensive bottle. The reason I recommend that is because everybody seems to like it. But go check out your mid $30 bottles. Try Crown Royal. That's something that's not too bad. Don't tell him to try Wild Turkey 101. He said he wants sweet whiskey. Old Forester, Larceny is a good shout. Larceny is a very good shout. Weller Special Reserve is not too bad. Buffalo Trace is pretty sweet. Like, you got your stuff there.
they all offer this ultra low cost index options, which historically has outperformed people trying to pick individual stocks forever. It outperforms people because people are really crappy at picking stocks. And also, there's another part to it as well, right? Just trying to time the market. It plays into all our work.
Oh, and to re-answer Darren Root's question, anything with a squiggle next to it is what's on the voting block. And if they're not hit by tomorrow, they're just gone. They're gone.
First impulses. So like you said, right now people are scared, right? And rightfully so. The world seems to be on fire. And I watch your podcast all the time, and it scares me sometimes. It's a scary world, right? So you would think that, okay, the U.S. economy is laden with debt, right? Which is true, right? It's got fundamental problems. China's going to take over the world, right? But when I was, in just getting started, it was Japan taking over the world, which turned to be a fallacy, and they had their own problems. So I don't know whether China is going to take over be the biggest economy, and is going to surpass.
I think if I ever am able to invest money in any significant way, I think I'm probably going to do precious metals. That's probably the best way to go. Just keep some of them tiny little gold bars in a safe or something. Man, you got me looking over at my whiskey shelf. I want some, but what do I have one that I haven't tried yet. That I think I will try whenever the next club join happens. I've been itching for a reason to try it. It's called Caribou Crossing. It's a Canadian whiskey that I got forever ago in a trade. And I think that's going to be my next, the next one I break into. That's going to be my next McKinley / Stacker Juice is going to be the Caribou Crossing. I think that's going to be it.
The United States. I don't know if the stock market's going to go up, down, sideways, or around in circles for the next 5 years. I mean, how do you don't know? And anyone tells you they know that is lying to you. So to sit there and try to watch the news and trade against like what's happening in the economy and what's happening in the world is a fool's errand. You're not going to succeed like that unless you're one of these rare individuals who's full-time as this unique gift. So, but then again, though, look at all these massive companies that have been created in the last 20 years, like, Google, Meta, right? These huge companies, not NVIDIA with artificial intelligence.
I think I had some of that at my uncle's Christmas party last week. Really? It's been sitting. I had a dream about it a long time ago. That's the famous Blanton's horses dream. We were talking to the caribou on the top of the bottle. But yeah, I've had it forever, and I've never had the opportunity to try it. I think that's going to be my next stacker juice. What'd you think of it, Luna? Did you like it? I've heard wonderful things.
So how do you get exposure to all that without having to pick the winners from the losers? The answer is very simple. You buy them all in one investment, which is the S&P 500, and then you sit back and let time do the heavy lifting for you.
So you don't have to watch Jim Cramer at all.
If you watch Jim Cramer for entertainment, if you like that kind of bloviating humor, good for you, right? I mean, I personally don't like it. The worst, even worse than that, is if you watch Jim Cramer and you happen to opt in, like
it's not bad. Okay, that's going to be the next one. I've heard very good things about it.
Answer one of the emails on the website. They'll start barraging you with emails. I did this as an experiment. Like I was like, a guy that injects stuff with the virus to see how sick you get, right? I actually opted into Cramer's, little thing online, and I started receiving a barrage of like 100 emails about join his special club. He'll alert you to what stocks are going up and down in real time.
I would join that just to do the opposite, honestly. That would be the best choice, in my opinion.
I mean, it's like, this is insanity, but this is a major network, right? That's, giving investors.
Oh, you know why I'm in fucking such a sour mood? I forgot. I woke up. If my uncle has it, it's generally good shit. That's a good rule of thumb, honestly. If that one guy has it, then it's probably good. That's a pretty decent rule of thumb. So, okay, I am now officially looking forward. Okay, someone drop a stack so I can go give this a try. Just real quick, if you don't mind. I woke up very early this morning. The kids are off. No reason to get up as early as I did, except the fucking moose jumped on the bed and woke me up, and I couldn't fall back asleep. So I'm just up, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking, when you're up, you get up too early for no reason, and you're just kind of like off in your own thoughts. I'm like, oh, fuck, I had a dream. And I'm like, what? I'm so hungry. I had a dream. I had a dream about chocolate chip pancakes. I need to make chocolate chip pancakes. So the dog starts pawing me. I go, okay, let's go outside. And I'm looking around the kitchen. Like, I have pancake mix. And I'm like, I'm not cooking for everybody. These are just for me. So I'm just going to make a sneaky little batch of pancakes for Dad. So I'm just looking around the kitchen like, okay, cool. I got a little bit of pancake mix. This will make about 5 pancakes, 3 to 5. Cool. I'm looking around like, fuck, I know we have chocolate chips. Sin was just making shit. And I found him like, yes. And my dog is the size of a moose. So people are like, what's a moose? I'm like, fuck. Yes, I have chocolate chips. But I didn't read the package. But it didn't matter. So I did the thing. I made the stuff. I put them in the thing. It was Drunkle who planted the idea in my head. You're exactly right. So I make 4 little pancakes. I make 4 pancakes. Chocolate chip pancakes. I put the butter on them. I make my coffee. I haven't even had a sip of coffee yet. And I go and I close my office door and I sit in there and I cut into it to smell. My mouth is what? The smell is fucking amazing. And I take a bite and I go, Pfft. And I spit it back onto the plate and I go back downstairs. I check the date on the pancake mix. It's still good. And I go and I check the chocolate chip. I used baking chocolate chips. I used fucking baking chocolate. Sam and Bean said that's all on you. It was. I didn't even have my coffee before I did this. It was just a whim. Like, I just need chocolate chip pancakes thanks to Drunkle. I just threw the whole stack away. Unsweetened. Bookworm. I threw everything away like fucking waste. Absolute waste. And ever since then, my day has just been like, God damn it. All I wanted was pancakes. I couldn't even have pancakes. What's the difference there?
absolute soy boy.
What is the difference? Unsweetened baking chocolate. Like, okay, so you would put that in like chocolate chip cookies, or semi-sweet. You'd put that in chocolate chip cookies because there's going to be a lot of sugar in the cookies, so the chocolateness doesn't matter. Like, you could tell the difference. They are very bitter. They are very, very bitter. Oh man, a fucking day ruiner. Absolute day ruiner. It is no, this is Drunkle's fault. That is absolutely true. This is 100% Drunkle's fault. So did we learn coffee before pancake? No pancakes before. Drink coffee before cooking is what we learned. That is exactly what we learned. No, they're not. Because I like bitter shit. I like IPAs. I like dark chocolate. They are non-edible bitter. Oh, I should have chosen the bacon. I should have chosen the bacon, but I wanted the chocolate chips. Ate semi-sweet chocolate. Semi-sweet I could have handled. These were unsweetened baking chocolate. Oof. Ugh. Yuck. Fostonia. Okay, I got to see what's behind the question marks. Was that a question mark? Was that 23.59? I thought that was on the chopping block. Okay, chat Bière Bonneau on the soy boy donation. Breakfast is ruined. It was, and I had these at like 5:30. So that just set the tone for the day. So I had to get the kids up, and come on, wake up. I had to take the kid to the dentist, and like it's just a little annoyance. It took too long at the dentist, and that annoyed me. Like my whole day from there. Okay, BS have it. Excuse me. The whole day. The whole fucking day. Ruined by fucking baking chocolate. Anyway, that's why I'm so bitter today. Because then my kid was like, I want McDonald's. I said, you did good at the dentist. We can go to McDonald's. And I got a steak, egg, and cheese bagel, and those are always solid. So that helped a little bit, but.
This is crappy advice. Now, on the
anyway, that's my story time.
flip side, here's the weird part. They also have good stuff on that network. Like there's legitimate news. And that's the problem. So they mix in.
You need a clip of that. I put review bra. I put that on Twitter. Let me see if I can find the tweet I posted. Because I was so fucking mad, dude. Yeah, look at this. I put this up at 6:15 this morning. I had a dream about chocolate chip pancakes, so I woke up at 5 a.m. and went to make chocolate chip pancakes. All we had was baking chocolate. I said, fuck it. I should wait. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him, excuse me.
See, I like that one. I think that one should stay. I think that should be a bière to stay. Chat, what do you think? Bière or Bonneau on Biden brain fart, which I am going to change the name to forthwith. Bière or Bonneau on Biden brain fart. Yeah, okay, cool. Resounding BS is good. I wanted to keep that one.
Legitimate news, great reporting.
Do dentists still give kids good teeth coupon to McDonald's for ice cream? What? Never had that. No, they just say good job and gave him some fucking tiny ass toothbrush and sent us on our way.
Interviews with great CEOs, and you learn about the economy, what's going on in the world, but they intersperse that with like this market giving advice. And it's nonsense. You people can't beat the market.
My dentist did that? What? We never got that. Well, I never got that.
And
the boys certainly don't get that.
So I play out my brother-in-law, many of my friends back in when the bubble burst in 2008, and even worse, by the way, in 2000 with the dot-com bust, right? So every time the market busts out, all the bullshit gets exposed.
Of course.
Yeah, my dentist had the reward toy basket. So I used to get to pick from that, and it was just, little plastic horse shit. But I never got no fucking McDonald's coupon. Yeah, we just got the toy chest. And the boys don't even get the fucking toy chest.
Well, all of a sudden people thought they were expert day traders or expert market timers. They were.
Their birthday is next week, and I am woefully unprepared. Like they don't want big stuff. Christmas is the big stuff. But I don't even know what the fuck I'm gonna do for that.
Like basking in the glow of just an up market. Like I say in the book, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And a falling tide, well, it lowers all ships, right? So you see the truth come out.
I don't like looking at the stock market that way. A rising tide raises all ships, because it doesn't. Not across the board like you would think. Like just because one stock goes up 5%, that's $5 to most people who are invested in it, but it's 500 million to other people. Christmas got you broke. Isn't the missus' birthday this one? Motherfucker. Within 3 weeks, or within 1 month of each other, it is Christmas. And this year, I paid for all the food. The daughter's birthday, the boy's birthday, and Shelly's birthday. Talk about motherfuck broke. Jesus Christ.
As Warren Buffett says, until the tide goes out, you don't know who's has no clothes on, who's swimming naked, right?
But you said at the outset that there are people who do succeed in the market because they have inside information.
Right.
I got sugar-free candy, toys, and McDonald's, like, from one visit? Holy fuck.
It feels like there's a
Yeah, I feel like I've been ripped off.
lot of that.
There is.
Yeah. How does that work?
So I think there's different levels of it, right? There's like the full-on criminal stuff like you saw in the movie Wall Street with Gordon Gekko, right? Where like people are actually paying people in moles and stuff like that to get, information that's not public, paying off directors, having inside links to the company or law firms that are doing deals, right? That happens for sure, and people do get in trouble from time to time and go to jail, right? But
Martha Stewart.
Right, exactly, right? But she was like,
How is Pelosi not in jail? That's my question. Time to invest, watch market economy, just buy and hold $1. If I was telling you and I are going to have to chat.
kind of, a fall person. I mean,
She sure was.
so people did a lot worse than Martha Stewart, right? I mean,
Yeah, why'd
people,
they put her away?
It's hard to say because she's, famous and she's a big target and,
Probably just somebody famous getting got.
it kind of sucks when you're famous and a big target and
Yeah.
they want to come get you, right? Especially if some of your views aren't that popular. They want to come after you, right? So, but that's sort of the cliched type of insider trading where they're just literally buying and getting moles, and that's highly illegal. Then there's the softer side of it, which is where these big hedge funds have these like analytical firms that are getting like research that's inside research. So like, for example, they're like, I had a friend who was a very big short seller, right? And he actually had like people waiting outside of a warehouse counting the number of trucks that.
I feel very appreciative for my sons right now, honestly, because they don't ask for, like, my daughter's like, oh, I want this mask thing and I want these craft supplies. She was asking for like $300 fucking things and multiple of them. And I asked the boys, I'm like, what do you guys want? And they're like, Pokemon cards, a fun birthday party. Can we replace the Nintendo Switch? Like, see, that's reasonable.
Leaving the warehouse to try to you get it to see how are they really shipping the amount of goods. It's doing this deep.
It's crazy the difference between.
I need about 3 minutes.
They're not that much of an age difference, but the older they get, man. Lucky fucker, I want them to bring back the steak, egg, and cheese bagel here in Arizona. I used to get it on my way home from the bullshit work. Man, that thing is. But that hits the goddamn spot.
Type of research.
Whatever sauce they put on that motherfucker is the best. And I feel bad. I'm like, I don't think we're gonna be able to replace the Nintendo Switches right now. but we can definitely have a birthday party, and we can definitely get you some Pokemon cards.
Research, which sometimes crosses over into inside information.
So what is the line? I mean, you're allowed to be informed.
You're allowed to be informed, but theoretically, you should not be in possession of information that is non-public. Everyone's supposed to have access to the same information at the same time to make a fair market, right? And generally speaking, it's true for everybody, all the average investors, but there are certainly people on Wall Street. I mean, you'd be naive to think that, you know, an analyst that has special relationships that's doing the investment banking deal. So if someone raises, you know, $500 million for a company, you tell me the CEO and the owner of that firm are not like having little conversations, little inklings here and there. So I'm sure that's happening. That's much more difficult to.
Make sure the switch battery doesn't hit 0, it'll brick. Well, we don't have any gaming consoles anymore. We had to get rid of literally all of them except the Nintendo 64, which for some reason nobody would buy for a reasonable offer. And my knockoff Sega. We have no gaming systems anymore. We had to sell all of them.
Prove. So it's a lot.
I talked a little bit about this Friday. We had to sell all of them. And they didn't really play them at the time, so it didn't seem too bad. Yeah, we had to sell everything.
A lot of it is buried under, like, you know, guidance and financial reports. So they'll issue an analyst report, right? And, you know, the analyst report will give sort of plausible deniability for why they think a stock is going up or down, right? But even then, I mean, I think that's difficult to prove, which is why you don't hear a lot of those cases.
No, the SEC doesn't seem to bring
Right.
any.
Well, the SEC, I have a whole history of the SEC in the book. The SEC is a ridiculous organization. So it was conceived. Listen, the first chairman was Jack Kennedy, you know, or Joe Kennedy, you know,
Yeah.
old Joe, the original Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
right? So, like, you know,
The bootlegger.
Yeah, from the beginning, it was set up with a two-tiered system where the big firms basically were protected, right? And, you know, when they got in trouble, they did things so egregious that it was undeniably egregious, they'd pay a small fine and move on, right? Which is why, like, Goldman Sachs, for example, right? Now, Goldman Sachs serves a vital function to the U.S. economy, and they're also behind every great crime or the biggest crimes that are out there.
That's not surprising at all. Goldman Sachs seems more like a mafia family than a fucking whatever the fuck they do.
Including my movie. That was, you know, The Wolf of Wall Street was financed by these Malaysians, right? The one MDB fund.
Fucking Malaysians.
That scandal, that was just coincidentally. And who was the banker that paved the way for that? Goldman Sachs. Out of there, I think it was the Malaysia or Singapore office. They had a banker there that provided the funding and, you know, got double or triple the normal fees for doing it. And that money got siphoned off. That's classic Wall Street. So on one hand, they create massive value. On the other hand, they rape and pillage the village. And it's the average investor and the average person that bears the brunt of that, with the bailouts and subpar returns. So,
Well, just to follow up on the Wall Street investment firm, I mean, information firms, research.
yeah.
I mean, everyone uses those, correct?
Hedge funds are very much using them. So they got in trouble, though, in the past.
In some cases, they pay employees or former employees of companies to talk about what's happening inside the company.
Right.
And that's very common.
Yes.
And that also seems very, very illegal.
That's same with lobbyists. And it's like,
So how is that not insider trading? I've always wondered.
well, again, it's not. If someone gives you an overall, you know, sense of what's going on, that's like nothing that's not out in the public domain, but it's sort of like an insider's perspective versus information on, like, are sales going down? Is there a problem with manufacturing that's not public, right? So that's when it crosses over the line, and it's a gray area, right? But it's very common in hedge funds to use these research firms that go out there and get non-public information. And there's a very fine line, like a drug trial. Like there's a drug
Hedge fund kids are shitbags. Aren't they like the bad guy in every fucking 80s and 90s movie?
trial going on. Like, you know, how do you know how the drug trial is performing? Well, if you're, imagine calling up all the people, or interviewing people that are in the drug trial and trying to figure out yourself, or people that are intimately involved with administering the placebo studies, the double-blind studies, they're all over that stuff.
It appears that members of Congress consistently beat the S&P 500 in their personal investments.
Nancy Pelosi.
And a lot of others.
Right.
And Pelosi
But
especially.
she's the famous one. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that...
But she's allowed to get away with it because reasons.
Is Nancy Pelosi, do you think, a stock-picking genius?
No, she has to be operating on information that's non-public, or there's not.
Wouldn't
let's
that
say-
make her a criminal?
Yeah, but, you know, look at Joe Biden right now. I mean, look what's going on right now. Like this. Listen,
do you think he's a good stock picker?
Joe Biden? No, I think he's great at laundering money, though.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
apparently.
From what I've seen right now, I don't get it. Like, just imagine if it was Trump who was president.
Yeah.
Well, every single day in the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and every other publication would be like $40,000 check or $20,000 check from his brother. Like, it'd be game over. Cries for impeachment.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like the world falling down. He's in China's pocket. But it's like we're living in an alternative universe right now where people in power, especially on the left, right, can operate almost with impunity. And
Yeah, this is Jordan Belfort. He's the actual Wolf of Wall Street.
Pelosi's a perfect example. She's not the only one, but it's inconceivable that someone could have that high return
Inconceivable.
in the market when everyone else can't do it. So what's the edge? The edge is
Her husband is, yeah, fair enough.
she knows key legislation. And also, maybe someone's whispering in her ear, okay, because, they want to be on her good side, right? So it's hard to prove.
So,
though.
but it's just prima facie, though. So if what you're saying is true, and that is that the most sophisticated people in the world can't beat the S&P average,
Right.
then any member of Congress, and I think they are on average dumber than the population.
Especially the career.
I think that would be, that'd probably be accurate. Chat Biabino, do you think the average congressional seat holder is dumber than the average citizen? I think so.
Politician.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's no possibility they could do that with that inside information.
No, it's not possible. But again, so how do you go proving that, right? They have to issue subpoenas. And listen, I think that in this case, the solution is they shouldn't be allowed to trade these people.
Yes.
They should not be allowed to trade. It's insane that they're allowed to. And,
Yeah, accurate. Yeah.
As you said, it's prima facie, right? If it looks like shit, smells like shit, well, guess what?
Yeah.
It's shit. And that's, or it's bullshit in this case, right? So, listen, she's done incredibly well in an area where, like, the most professional investors struggle to even match the index. So somehow she's doing 3 times as well. I don't know.
Why is no one ever taking that seriously? I mean, this is like a feature of internet memes, but I don't know. I mean, don't we have an SEC to look into that? I mean, what?
SEC is not going to look into that sort of stuff because they don't want to make an enemy because they're funded. Who funds them?
Yeah, they want to protect their people. Oh shit, I forgot to do the thing. If you guys are enjoying this show and the random tangents that we are going on, I have no idea why we're going on random tangents. It never happens here. Pretty please smash that like button. Pretty please share it out on your social media. And should you feel like supporting the show, Streamlabs is listed down below. And there goes Chrome again. We are voting on everything immediately with a tilde next to it. Be or but no, whether we're keeping or deleting. And straight up, if we haven't had a vote by the end of tomorrow, they're just going to be gone. So if you see one of the ones you like down below, let me know.
Funded by Congress. The budget's tied to Congress, right? There's a committee it's the Financial Services Committee, right? So that funds the SEC.
But how does it make you feel? I mean, you got in a lot of trouble for fraud.
But I deserved it. So like,
right, but so do they.
Yeah, I know. But like, I never. One thing. Listen, I admit that after 2008, I got a little bit bitter. I was like, you know what? These people have
a little bit bitter. Can't say that I blame you.
Bankrupted the world economy, and,
Yeah.
and no one went to jail. Basically, some one schnook in Germany went to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
And Karina is holding on by a thread.
Right. So I said, you know what? That's not really fair. But I don't think it's an empowering way to live. To say just because I went to jail, other people should go too. I think jail's a terrible place, right? And I did my time, and I made the best of it. I wrote my first book in jail, right? Which turned out to be a great thing. But I learned from that. But I don't then wish it on other people.
How did you? I mean, a lot of people go to jail. Few write books. How
Right.
did you do that?
It's a great story. So believe it or not, when I go to jail, right?
How old are you?
Let's see, so I was 41 years old, 42.
Oh, jeez.
It's a terrible time to go to jail, right? I lost everything, right? And
Two
I
kids?
go, 2 kids at the time, yeah, which was breaking the news to them was the most heartbreaking thing ever. I mean, like literally, it was like too much crying, and I still get emotional about it, right?
I bet.
And I had to tell them, like, Daddy made mistakes, and now he's in the hysterical. They were 11 and 9 at the time, right?
Oh my God.
So
I couldn't imagine.
I go to jail, and it's not the worst jail in the world. I'm not worried about.
I couldn't imagine what my kid's reaction would be like if I were like, guys, I gotta go away for like a year. Oh my God.
about slipping in the shower. So it's like a minimum security, but jail sucks, right? Who's my bunkmate? Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong.
What was he doing there?
So he's there for selling not marijuana, but
bongs.
Bongs. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. So he's doing a year and a day for selling bongs. I'm like, shit. I'm like, he's doing a year and a day for bongs. I should probably get 3,000 years for what I compared to
How
him.
long were you serving?
I had 22 months.
Yeah.
Right? So he's there for a year and a day. And, you know, the first few days, you know, there's not much to do. You just tell each other stories. And I'm telling him stories about my life, the insanity. And
Did you know who he was?
of course, yeah, they put us together. And we shared a cell, yeah. Because we were both high profile, so they just put us together, right? So they could watch us both at once, right? And
So in jail, as in normal life, all the famous people know each other.
basically, right?
Yeah.
That sounds
So
about right.
he's a great guy, and he was writing a book at the time, and I'm telling him stories, and he's just rolling, he's just laughing hysterically every night, right? And the third night, he's like, you know, I thought you were making this shit up, but my wife Googled you, and it's like all true. In fact, your sister knows you from her father from back in the day. He was a friend of mine, right? He's like, you actually sank the boat. You crashed these cars. You did all this insane. You made all this money and all these drugs. He goes, you have to write a book. And I'm like, really? You think my life's exciting? Like, because when it's your life, no matter how crazy your life is, it's
That's true. I could see that. Like, it wasn't that crazy. Like, dude, no, write a fucking book.
yours. You don't think,
of course.
right? You think it's just normal. I'm like, he's like, I'm Tommy Chong. I think your life is just insane. He goes, write a book. So I started trying to write, and I was a terrible writer. Terrible. I couldn't write anything. I'd never written before like that, you know? So after like a month, I'm like, oh, this is just not working. I go to the
41, golf, 41.
prison library, and I stumble upon a book called Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe.
Of course.
I pick up this book, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to write like this. So I plowed through the book, and then I started with the yellow highlighter, and I used this book like a textbook. And I taught myself to write by modeling Tom Wolfe. So it's like I had a model now, and I spent about 3 months just every metaphor, how he used grammar, how he described location.
He's there because Feds got a job, their inside job again. Then the glow stick sold a bong to another glow stick in a band. So they positioned everything to get him in trouble. That about right?
How he used conflict. And I really started to see my writing dramatically improve. So I wrote about 100 pages when I was in jail, and then I ripped them up. I didn't think they were good enough. I got out of jail with no pages, but I had a skill now, right? So when I got out, I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. And I was like, maybe I'll just start trying to write again, right? So I wrote about 12 pages, and I'm like, wow, I think those are really good. Like, I thought they were pretty good, and I hate my own writing always, right? It's like when you write, it's very, like, you always hate what you write, right? So I'm like, I think this is pretty good. I sent them to a few friends, and they're like laughing, like, oh my God, it's the funny. I'm like, really? So I sent it to a book agent I knew very casually, just a casual friend, right? So I called him and said, I want to, write a book. He goes, oh, great, let's get you a ghostwriter. I said, well, I want to write myself. He goes, can you write? I'm like, I'll send you the pages. I sent him 12 pages. Next day, he calls me back. He goes, did you pay Tom Wolfe to write those pages? It was like that close to Tom Wolfe's voice, my first draft, right? I'm like, no, I wrote it myself. He's like, it's really good. He goes, like, write 10 more pages. So I said, all right. So it took me a week to write.
What is a glow stick? Fed. Usually a member of the ATF or the FBI. Also, fuck the ATF. If you haven't noticed by the stream goal, I couldn't think of anything pithy. So fuck the ATF. And we're a little over 20% of the way there. I think we could get at least a little bit farther, because fuck the ATF. And if I haven't said it enough in the past few minutes, fuck. And I cannot stress this enough, the ATF.
10 more pages. I wrote another 10 pages. I sent him the pages. 15 minutes later, he calls. He goes, stop everything you're doing. You have no idea what's about to happen to your life. This book is going to be a massive hit. I'm going to get a movie made about this. We're going to get Leo DiCaprio to play you, right? I mean, right from the start, right? I was like, I thought he was delusional, right? But I didn't have much going on back then, right? So I was like, screw it. So I holed up, and literally I had a little tiny apartment, and I spent 1 year just like doing 18 hours a day writing the book, The Wolf of Wall Street, right? About on page 60, he took it down to Random House, who bought the book.
So just the Fed in general? Specifically the ATF tonight. But yes, glow sticks are pretty much Fed in general. But tonight specifically, we're focusing on the ATF because fuck 'em.
I got a nice advance so I could at least live, right? And then when the book was finished about a year later, it went through 7 edits because I overwrote it. Got it from 1,000 pages down to 500 pages. And then when it was still a manuscript, it became a bidding war between Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio. Yeah, it wasn't even a book
Amazing.
yet. I know, it was crazy, right? And then, Leo brought in Scorsese, and I always loved Leo, so I sold to Leo and Scorsese after a nice bidding war, and so began, the story of The Wolf of Wall Street, what happened with the movie. And then there was a delay, by the way, for 5 years, because that was 2007, and then the writer's strike hit, and it got delayed, which ended up being
This was a pretty decent fucking movie.
a great thing, and this is really empowering for all the listeners. I'll tell you why. Because when they wrote the script, when the script was done by a guy named Terry Winter, who adapted the book, he did an incredible job. The first draft of the script was amazing, right? But it ended with me in jail, like because I went to jail and got out, right? And that was the ending of the movie, of the script, right? There was this delay then for 4 years after the writer's strike. And during those 4 years, I got very wealthy again, going out there and speaking and training entrepreneurs and teaching sales, right? So finally, 4 years later, when Leo called me, goes, we're ready to go, and came back to my new house. I was living in a mansion on the water. He's like, what the hell happened to you? Like in 4 years. I was in a tiny apartment, now into a very nice house again. And I'm like, oh, I do this stuff around the world. And I showed him my clips from live on stage. And he's like, wait till Marty sees this. He's going to go crazy. They rewrote the third act of the movie and made it a comeback story. So
Amazing.
so I kind of rewrote my life story.
When were you happier, at the peak of your success, pre-conviction, or on the comeback?
Probably the comeback.
I was never happy before.
Why?
Number one, I was a massive drug addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally massive drug addiction.
What were you using?
Quaaludes and cocaine.
Quaaludes?
Quaaludes, yeah.
Is this the 70s?
70s,
Where'd you get Quaaludes?
I'll tell you how. So when I got really wealthy, they made them illegal in the United States.
Yeah,
so, right?
like a long time ago.
But in Switzerland and Italy and Spain, so we were going country to country and like buying out the pharmacies of all the lewds from overseas and bringing them back into the United States, just not to sell them, just to take them, just to eat them all. So we weren't dealing them, just consuming massive quantities of these Quaaludes, right? And I got so wildly addicted. I mean, I was taking about 10, 12 a day.
You get very addicted.
Yeah.
Holy shit, 12 a day?
And like one of them would knock out a 200-pound Navy SEAL for 8 hours. I would take 4 and walk around. Like,
So what was the appeal of that?
Euphoria, incredibly euphoric. They get this first you get this tingle phase, and then you get like the slurs and the happy drool phase. You get to the drool phase, and anyway, it's incredibly euphoric. And then I said, well,
What's the drool phase like?
The drool phase is when you're like drooling as you're talking, but you're like, well, drooling's not a big deal. Babies drool, I drool, And when you're slurring, you're like, baby slur, I slur. There's always a justification. But then the problem is the fourth phase is unconsciousness.
Babies drool.
All right, what's the next vote we have lined up? $19.94 is the next vote. We got like 15 minutes left.
Oh, that's great. That's the best justification.
But phase 4, though, is unconsciousness, which is the problem. So what do you do then? Well, a responsible drug addict will then take cocaine to make sure you don't go into the course, right? So I started to balance it out.
The yin and the yang, come on.
Cocaine, which is great, works great. The problem is cocaine makes you anxious. So I needed Xanax to get rid of the anxiety, right? So I take Xanax to quell the anxiety, but then I still needed something to kick me over the edge with sleeping. So I took some Ambien to sleep and then some morphine for the pain I had. And before I knew it, I was taking 22 drugs at the same time. I was like a human petri dish, right? And I was just incredibly high all the time.
You're lucky
and
you
running.
didn't die.
I know. I'm very lucky. I know. I don't. I always wonder why I didn't have any permanent damage.
Yeah.
Right. I think most because I was not a big drinker. I think alcohol is like that wild card.
Alcohol and Quaaludes will kill you.
Yeah, it's a wild card. It's like gasoline on the fire. So I was very fortunate. I got sober in '97.
How?
Went to rehab.
That is how, yeah.
Rehab.
Okay.
What's withdrawal like from Quaaludes?
Not bad. It wasn't that bad. For me, it wasn't so much withdrawal was the problem. It was more like just I needed like an adult time out. I was so done with it. Like I think people can get sober in rehab. People can get sober in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? You can get sober anywhere, but you have to be ready to get sober.
Yeah.
If you're not ready, right, you could be in the world's greatest rehab and you'll just relapse. You'll run out, you'll climb over the wall. As soon as you'll use again. Of
course.
I was done. I like my life was so out of control. I had my kids were starting to get older now. They're 4 and 5 years old. So I was like, I got to end this. So I was very happy to stop using drugs, right? So that was in '97. I had a problem in 2009 where I had some terrible run of like 5 surgeries in this shoulder and 5 surgeries in this shoulder. Right? I had really bad back, the whole thing. So I was taking Vicodin from the doctor, right? And then
Awoo from Fostonia, Awoo train anybody? I'll get it started. All aboard. All right. Fostonia is calling for an official start to the Awoo train. So let's get this set up. We got 1 on the train per Fostonia. Guys, you know what to do. You know what the deal is.
Got off of that and went on something called Suboxone.
Oh, of course.
Which is a disaster in its own right, but I could function on it. And then I find it Ibogaine. You know Ibogaine?
Yeah.
And I got completely, that would
How did that work?
Well, you know, I was on this low dose of Suboxone for like 10 years. And, it, and like, didn't affect me, but it was like, it's just not, who wants
Why did they do that?
Because the pharmaceutical companies make a fortune with it. So they get everyone addicted to opioids.
Can you explain, what that Suboxone,
So yeah,
how it
so
works?
Suboxone. So what happens is with the opioid crisis, right? Everyone's taking OxyContin and Percodan and Percocet and Vicodin, all these, right? And they're giving them out like they're candy all over the place, right? So there's this massive opioid crisis, right? When they
it's the worst that it's ever been right now.
Realized that, especially OxyContin and fentanyl was so addictive and people were like dying, they said, oh, we have to have a solution. So they put people on something called Suboxone. Suboxone is what they call a partial opioid agonist, meaning it binds to similar receptors, but it doesn't really get you high. And you can't really, it's very hard to overdose on it.
It's just like the modern methadone.
Exactly.
That's literally what it is.
Exactly what it is, right? So it's much more long acting, and you could be on it and no one knows you're on it, but your mouth may be a little bit drier and so forth. You're a little bit tireder at night. But generally speaking, if you're really careful, then you can live on that. And it's not the worst thing in the world. It's far better than...
Does it affect your cognitive ability?
Not at a very low dose, but the problem is most people don't stay at a low dose. They go up and they go up because they get a little bit of a high from it, so they abuse Suboxone, and it's like a life sentence. And it's like not good for your liver. You're taking an opioid, right?
Yeah.
So I was on that for a long time at a very low dose, and finally I said, you know what, I want to be up. I don't want anything in my system, so I went and did Ibogaine in Mexico, in Cancun. Which, so everyone, heard of Ibogaine. Ibogaine is a naturally occurring, it's a plant, right, out of Africa.
Hallucinogen.
It's a very powerful hallucinogen, but for some reason, it binds to the same opioid receptors as morphine, right, and, Vicodin, right, and it resets them. So there's this weird thing, it resets you, it brings you back to pre-addiction. So when you're done with this 12-hour nasty, this trip is scary, Tucker.
What happens?
It's not fun. I'm like,
Where'd you do it? Hotel room?
I did it in a clinic in Cancun called Beyond, which is I'd recommend this place to anybody. It's amazing, and they really did an amazing job. Very safe, it's all doctors, supervisors. I was hooked up to heart machine because it can be hard on your heart, right? And they really support you emotionally, right? And when I did this...
Wait, but what happened? So you take it
I did I got tripped the scariest, ugliest, terrible trip. I was petrified before I started, by the way, because you hear all these horror stories about Ibogaine, right? Where you're seeing your dead people talking to you, and your father is talking to you from back, my father's passed away, right? So you see all these visions and stuff, and you hear a lot of noises and bugs. It's terrible.
And was it as bad as you thought?
It was pretty bad. I was petrified. I'll admit it. I was
the whole time?
The first 6 hours is brutal. The second 6 hours is you're get me out of this room. I want to you're like diaper boy. You want to do a primal scream, right? But what I did feel, no,
that's intense. Holy shit, man. Whoa. Wow. This is a really fucking good interview from Tucker.
It is scary as shit. All right, I'm telling you, it is not fun at all, right? But I did feel it, burning out my wrist. I could feel it, my brain working. I knew it. I knew as it was happening, I'm done with it. I'm not going to need this stuff anymore, right? So anyway, after it was over.
I don't think anybody wants to Awoo train with you, Fostonia. That's okay.
I recovered, 12 hours I got out. I never did another, any morphine or any narcotics ever again. That was it. It was done.
Amazing.
Yeah, it resets your receptors.
Did it affect you in any other ways?
Some people I think have more of a spiritual journey because it's great for PTSD as well, for veterans, right? So right now they're trying to fund studies for veterans. It's very helpful for PTSD, right? I didn't think it made that many.
I know you tried, Fostonia, and I appreciate you, buddy.
Any changes in me? I was in a pretty good place when I went in there. I just literally had a physical addiction that if I didn't take this stupid drug, I'd get uncomfortable, and I didn't want to have that. I'm traveling all the time, right? So for me, I didn't feel like I made any profound changes other than that, for the first 45 days, I had to learn to be completely sober again. So it was, even though I had no physical withdrawals, I had some post-acute, like mental, I just didn't feel great. But then after like 45 days, and suddenly all the clouds lifted, and I, felt terrific again. So it was an amazing gift that I gave myself, and I would strongly recommend this to anybody who's suffering from, opioid addiction right now. It's certainly
Thank you guys for the blessings.
a better solution than Suboxone, and for me it was life changing. So it's great.
And so you've never been tempted to go back to anything ever again?
No, never, no. But I mean, I wasn't even. See, the thing was, I wasn't using Suboxone to get high.
Oh.
It was just a maintenance thing because
Shiru, here is the blue moon, and I apologize for the annoyingness. Thank you, Shiru. I appreciate it. The point was, don't call for donations if you're not willing to do it yourself. I think that kind of rounds it out, and that's 2 on the Awoo. I appreciate it.
I got addicted to these damn painkillers after my surgeries, right? So I was using it at a dose. It wasn't like I was trying to get high.
If I could sum up what Hammond Beans was saying, I think that's about the gist of it.
So I guess if someone was like reluctantly put on Suboxone because they were like a drug addict and it was, they had to because their life was so out of control. I guess they'd have to probably work through some therapy as well afterwards. But, I think that it's really helpful for that too. In other words, some people that go through Ibogaine, when they emerge, they get this new perspective on their life. Like, why would I ever want to use opioids again? It's like disgusting and terrible. So, but it is incredibly powerful. Like, it is no joke. It is no joke. Like, I've tried ketamine, like it's a great thing for that. Use ketamine now to expand your brain. I've tried other hallucinogens. I've tried mushrooms, right? Ibogaine is in a class of itself. It's like no one would ever abuse Ibogaine. You're not doing Ibogaine. Let's have a fun trip on Ibogaine. It's like, no, it's like, let's go to the crazy house and hold on for dear life for 12 hours and then all your addictions are gone. And it really, it works. It actually works.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with anyone you were on Wall Street with?
I do, yeah. I still keep in touch with some people. From time to time, I speak to Danny, the Jonah Hill character. Other people mostly people that were my good friends before, I still speak to. But a lot of the people were like, we employed about 4,000 people at Stratton over the years, probably more like 5,000 or 6,000 people. And a lot of them, they come and go. I run into them from time to time. But, my new life is very different. So for the last, since 2009, right, I've been out there coaching and, mentoring entrepreneurs and on how to build businesses and how to do sales and increase their, marketing capabilities, right? And I never talked about Wall Street, never. Like I never wrote a book, and that was really my core competency, right? And what really made me do is, honestly, was my brother-in-law. When I kind of just saw him like just getting whipsawed, I'm like, you know what? Like there's 2 sides to I think to retiring and being wealthy or at least comfortable. One is you want to make money when you're in your working years, right? So we all have to do that, and you want to make as much money as you can, hopefully doing something you like. That's part of the equation, right? The next part is, what do you do with the money that you can save from all the hard work? How do you put that money to work in a very safe, responsible way that's going to outpace inflation significantly, that's going to
If you had asked that question 2 years ago, I'm sure you'd have a slew of answers, but we're at what, like 30-something% in the past couple of years? You're not going to get a good answer on that one.
Compound and allow you, when you're ready to retire, have an amazing life. I believe that people deserve that. So I look at this book as it's a gift. If you read this book, really, it's like a blueprint, and it's really simple. It's like not that complicated. But I knew that if I wrote the book in a dry way, people would not read it. So I wrote it in a very funny and more stories, so it'd be really engaging. But as you go through that, you get this what I consider to be a turnkey formula for a portfolio. So like
can I just ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
So the S&P 500 is 500 stocks,
right?
But they're not all in the same tier,
right?
At all. I mean, they're thriving, emerging companies churning out a lot of profit, and then there are a lot of older industrial companies that aren't. So why wouldn't you just make your own S&P 15 or 10 or 50? Why would you?
Which ones though? And how do you know which ones are going to win and which ones are going to lose? So here's the thing, right? Human beings.
I want to know when Tucker's just going to say fuck it and finally grow a beard.
And even analysts, even experts, they're just terrible at picking the winning stocks. It's too hard. So you're just imagine everybody is trying to do the same thing. What's the next winner? What's the big winner, right? So all the money is chasing after this pool of shares, right? So the question is, at any given moment, You know, the way, you know, economics would say is that the market is fairly priced in this moment based on all the available information that's out there.
Check out trueflation.com. Trueflation.com. I don't. Did I spell it wrong? Copy. Paste. I must have. Yow.
Yeah.
This is what every single individual stock is worth, right? Now, over time.
I think, yeah, it peaked in October, November, going down about a percentage point, and I have a feeling we'll see it go down quite a bit more in the run-up to, let's look at you need, no, I'm not going to register, that's fine. I have a feeling like right before the election, we're going to see it go right the fuck down.
Right? When you buy the S&P, now remember, the S&P 500 is the 500 biggest, most profitable companies in the U.S. They're in 10 different sectors, but the S&P, the index committee, every quarter will meet and say, okay, based on the U.S. economy, is the weighting of each sector correct? Do we have enough in information stocks?
Right.
Do we have enough in industrials? How about healthcare, right? So if you go back like 30 years, industrials were one of the biggest sectors out there. But then we exported our manufacturing base to China, right? And suddenly the financials become really big, and also especially computers and information and healthcare. So the biggest ones are now healthcare and computers, information technology. Those are your biggest sectors. So what happens is the S&P will reweight itself every quarter to match the U.S. economy, and any of the companies that are either underperforming, right, or becoming less relevant to their sector will be replaced by companies that are doing better and are more relevant. So you have, at any given moment, the 500 best companies, all done for you for free by the S&P index committee, who's selling that information, making money in a different way. They don't make the money. You can't invest in the S&P index because it's an index. You need a fund.
Right.
So there's a very big difference, because when the S&P first came out, you could only watch it. There was no way to invest in it. It was like a benchmark. How am I doing compared to the S&P? You couldn't buy it. You'd have to go out and buy each of the 500 stocks, which is cost prohibitive and not,
That's
you
insane.
time prohibitive as well, right? So when the first S&P 500 index fund came along, it allowed people for the first time ever to buy all 500 companies in one trade, right? Which is incredibly tax efficient and time efficient. Now, what else happens? Once a company goes into the S&P, all the institutions have to buy it. So there's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy part of it as well, right?
This makes more sense. But still, politicians ruin it.
So if you have information, like inside information, you're one of those rare people that can somehow, like 1 in 10 million people or 100, that can somehow figure out which stocks are going up and going to beat the S&P. God bless you, right? But the chance of everyone listening is that's not you, right? You're not going to be able to beat the S&P.
You don't think it's me?
You're
even with my Jim Cramer strategy, you don't think it's me?
You have so much talent as a speaker. And, God would not give one man so much talent and so much insight.
Fair.
Right. So anyway, so I really, like, it's been proven. Like, I'm not just saying this. It's like it's been proven by every study. When you read the book, I go through every study in a very funny way. And then when you the last chapter is called Meet the Fuckers. Instead of Meet the Fuckers, I call it Meet the Fuckers. So who are the fuckers? Well, the fuckers are the Jim Cramers of the world. These are all the fuckers who are out there, and he's just one of all the online, the charlatans on TikTok. These 5 stocks are about to moon. What the fuck? I mean, come on. Like, this stuff is littered all over the internet, trying to bait people into making stupid investment decisions that are self-defeating. It's the seminar.
That's because they want you to lose the money.
Our guy who tells you to buy the magical trading system that's going to beat the market. You can turn $50 into $5,000 in 3 months in your bathroom from home with my algorithm. Well, if it's so great, how come you're not using it yourself? Why are you freaking hawking this? It's so ridiculous, but this is what, and people fall for it, right?
Yeah, they do.
All the time, and they end up getting destroyed. And you know when it really hits them? When they're 55, 60 years old, and they don't have the money they should have. If you follow the advice in this book, which is arguably the best advice, I mean, Warren Buffett would give you this advice, seriously. It's an arguably great advice, and that is to play the long-term investing game, relying on compounding, meaning you start off with a small amount, as much as you can, right? And then add to it a little bit each month, whenever you can, as much as you can, and then also reinvest your dividends, So when you get quarterly dividends, because the S&P pays a dividend, reinvest those as well, and just forget it. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. Like you say, the U.S. economy is going to go to shit. Okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Who knows? But here's the deal. No matter how shitty the U.S. economy gets, you're still going to have really big companies out there that are raping and pillaging, making a fortune out there. Like
that's true. If Estoni said, yeah, that's what I was saying. Yes, sir.
S&P 500 have to do that. You're trading against bond.
Uh-oh. Why are we getting Fs? Hmm? 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 I'm not seeing anything anywhere.
Professionals that are like going to rip your eyeballs out every trying to beat the market. So you want to be engaging in these like index. It's called passive investing.
Yes.
Not active, passive investing, right? It's exactly the opposite of what I told people to do.
So if I could sum up your advice, it would be ignore the experts and be passive, not active.
100%. Ignore the experts, especially Jim Cramer, by the way. I call him a carnival barking ass clown. Okay, but I mean,
that's totally fair.
It's fair, but it's fully fair. And everyone used to, like when I was doing my legal vetting, they got like no problem there. They're like, check it.
At least once a day, I watch Jim Cramer on Sam Bankman-Fried. So just to make myself feel good.
That's another story to start the whole crypto world, right? With Sam Bankman-Fried. So he got, listen, I knew that was going to happen. I think I was asked, maybe by you, but what's going to happen with Sam Bankman-Fried? I said, this guy's going to go to jail for, I don't think he deserves life in jail.
No, I agree.
But, he's probably to get 20 years.
Very few people deserve life in prison.
But he's getting for a world.
The people who started the Iraq War do. But other than that,
that's pretty
I agree. Jordan Belfort, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Great to see you.
That was a good fucking interview.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
That was a really good interview. Wow. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. Honestly, that was good. Holy shit. All right, but guys, that will be it for us tonight. Again, I apologize for the rampant, apparently, tech issues that we've had all evening. I will see you tomorrow for the Sin and Sash stream and the AAA over on Polydub's channel at supposedly 5:30, and the Sin and Sash stream at 3. So guys, have a lovely evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.